Okay, so finally got to working on this vise here that was bolted to the end of this bench. And this is old Craftsman's. Dad says they bought it probably in the 70s sometime, so it's pretty old Craftsman. The problem with it is when you screw it out, the deal didn't come out. You had to pull it out physically. And we took it all apart, found out that this bolt here that goes in there, and this thing locks this piece from moving back and forth. Well, this came loose, and then this was just kind of floating in there, which is the reason why it wouldn't come back as you unscrewed it. So now that we think we figured out the problem with this thing, I'm going to clean it all up because it's all disassembled. We'll oil it up nice and good. We'll get all the bolts tight on it, and then we'll probably reinstall it on the end of the bench there and see what we got. But hopefully we saved this. It's a pretty good old vise. I know they make a lot of cheap ones now, and that's exactly what they are. They're cheap junk. But this one, being from the 70s, is actually a pretty nice one. Back when they made all nice parts. It's not an American part. You can see here, Japan is where it was made, so it's not an American part, but it's an old part. So we're gonna clean it up, reassemble it. Hopefully we'll get a whole bunch more years out of it. Okay, so there it is, cleaned up. As clean as I'm gonna get it anyway. It's gonna be put right back to work, and it's gonna get filthy again. So good enough for what we're gonna do with it. I'm gonna start reassembling the parts here, and hopefully we'll have a working vise. Okay, so I just put some grease on the splines of the main screw on the vise. Now I actually put some grease in here. This is what these splines on here ride on, and this is what came loose. So I'm going to reinstall this. Inside there. And you can see it goes in like that. There's a groove that it fits into down there. I'm also using a little WD on some places on this thing too. But we need to install the bottom plate here. Don't drop it. Just putting a little WD on it. And this, I don't think there's a certain way this has got to go. But here's the bolt that goes under there. I got to get a deal to tighten her up. This should spin. This bottom part needs to spin. There's a space on that bolt, so you can crank that bolt down. This is for the adjustment to on the bench if you need to turn the vise. And there's there's a deal right here. There's a little bolt that goes down in here, and you got your deal. You see ours is bent. I gotta straighten that out in the vise quick here before I put this on. Okay, so we got my little deal. Straight as it's gonna get. Gonna install it here. And then you can see a little better on how this works is you unscrew it and then you can rotate it and you cinch it down, and then it the reason it's bent is because usually when you get it cinched down, you got to pound on it with a hammer to really get it so it don't move, otherwise it'll move on you. That's why it's bent. I'd like to redo that, put like a bolt or something in there so it can't loosen up. Anyway, only thing left to do now, these things are pretty simple, is we gotta screw this back in place. I'm gonna add a little more WD. We're going to screw this thing into place here. Well, there we go. Say we got a working vise again. I'll get her wiped down here. She's got some WD leaking out of it, but that's just going to keep it from rusting. So I may let it sit here overnight, and we'll let that WD kind of drip off it. We'll wipe it all down, and then we'll bolt her back up. But pretty easy fix here on this old vise. I mean, I'd rather have this old vise than a cheap new one. I can tell you that right now. So there it is, guys, all together, ready to be bolted on. Like I said, I'm going to probably leave it a couple days, let that WD, the extra WD, drip off it. Just don't want it to be all rusty, because I did put it in the parts cleaner, cleaned everything off. So I guess hopefully you guys enjoyed this little video of the old Craftsman vise, and I'll see you guys in the next one.